Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to embark on an absolutely epic, sweeping journey through the entirety of human history. We're diving deep into the Sapiens journey, drawn directly from the fascinating insights of Yuval Noah Harari's groundbreaking work. This is really a story about us. It traces how a seemingly unremarkable ape, just hanging out in the middle of the food chain, somehow rose up to completely dominate the planet. It's a grounded yet incredibly awe-inspiring look at our past, and honestly, it's designed to fundamentally change how you view the world around you right now.
So, I want to ask you a very direct question. Why do humans rule the Earth? Seriously, think about it for a second. We are definitely not the strongest animals on the planet. We're absolutely not the fastest. I mean, if you put a human and a chimpanzee in a wrestling match, the human is going to lose every single time. No contest. Yet, here we are, we build sprawling cities, we fly to the moon, we run massive global networks. The answer to this puzzle isn't about our physical bodies at all. It is entirely about our unique capacity to cooperate in massive numbers. Making that jump from physical weakness to massive cooperation, that is the real secret to our success.
Okay, let's dive into this because the secret really unlocks when we look at what Harari calls our superpower, imagined realities. Basically, these are shared human beliefs. We're talking about things like money, laws, corporations, or entire nations. Now, these things do not exist in the physical, biological world. You can't physically touch a law, right? And a nation doesn't actually exist outside of the minds of the people who believe in it. But because millions of strangers all believe in the exact same story, they can work together in ways that literally no other species on Earth can. To really understand how we got here, we need to map out the chronology of our progress. We're going to look at three massive leaps in human history. We kick things off 70,000 years ago with the cognitive revolution. Then, we jump to 12,000 years ago for the agricultural revolution. And finally, we hit the accelerator just 500 years ago with the scientific revolution. Just notice the escalating pace of change here. Progress starts out incredibly slow for tens of thousands of years, and then boom, it suddenly explodes.
Section 1. The Power of Human Imagination. 70,000 years ago.
So during the cognitive revolution, early humans developed advanced language. But this wasn't just about pointing at a lion and yelling, "Look out!" No, it was the newfound ability to share highly complex ideas, to plan ahead for the future, and crucially, to gossip and tell stories about things that didn't even exist physically. This massive leap in imagination allowed us to build rich cultures. While other animals can cooperate in small, tight-knit groups because they personally know each other, humans could suddenly cooperate in vast numbers simply because they shared the same cultural stories. It completely, fundamentally separated us from the rest of the animal kingdom.
Section 2. The agricultural revolution. 12,000 years ago.
Now, fast forward a few tens of thousands of years. Humans stopped roaming around hunting and gathering, and they began to settle down to farm. Now, what's really interesting to look at here is the profound paradox of that progress. We almost always assume that settling down to farm was this massive, universal improvement for everyone. But it's actually an ironic twist of history. Yes, the benefits to society as a whole were huge. We got permanent settlements, population growth, the birth of cities and governments. But the cost to the individual, it was incredibly steep. The average early farmer actually worked way harder than a hunter-gatherer did. They had poorer, way less diverse diets, and living packed tightly together in cities introduced much greater social inequality and rampant new diseases. Building civilization, ironically, made daily life a lot harder for the average person.
Section 3. Myths that united the world. The foundations of civilization.
Despite all those hardships in the early cities, human populations just continued to boom. So how did these massive, rapidly growing societies avoid completely collapsing into chaos? Well, to manage exploding populations, we relied heavily on those imagined realities we touched on earlier. Think about these shared myths: money, religion, nations, human rights, companies, and laws. Actually, let's break the fourth wall for a second. Think about the paper in your wallet right now, or picture the borders on a world map. None of those are objective realities in nature. A corporation isn't a physical object you can hold. They exist entirely, 100%, because we collectively agree that they exist. And because we all agree, we can run an entire global society.
Let's take what is arguably history's greatest invention: money. As Harari puts it so perfectly, money is universal trust. It has absolutely no intrinsic value. You can't eat a $20 bill, it won't keep you warm at night, yet it works flawlessly. Why? Because it allows two strangers from completely different cultures, who don't even speak a word of the same language, to instantly cooperate and trade with one another. It is literally the ultimate shared belief.
Now, as societies grew larger and larger, two dominant shared belief systems emerged that really shaped the globe: empires and religions. Empires, despite their often violent and controversial histories, were these incredible engines for spreading language, technology, trade, and laws, deeply accelerating global interconnection. On the other side of the coin, religions provided shared moral systems, stability, and a deep sense of community. Regardless of your personal views on either of these, impartially speaking, both functioned as immensely powerful unifying stories. They allowed incredibly diverse groups of strangers to coexist and cooperate within massive, sprawling civilizations.
Section 4. Science and Industry, 500 years ago to the present.
About 500 years ago, the pace of human history went into absolute overdrive. Welcome to the scientific revolution. Now, it didn't just start with some fancy new invention, it started with a radical idea: the willingness to admit ignorance. For the first time, humanity collectively looked around and said, you know what? We don't know everything. Let's move to and see how this builds, because that simple curiosity fueled unprecedented scientific discoveries and modern medicine, which in turn sparked rapid industrialization and brand new technology. A simple willingness to question old assumptions transformed human life faster than any previous revolution in history. And riding right alongside that scientific revolution was a brand new imagined reality: capitalism. Just like money or empires, capitalism is fundamentally a shared belief system. It's built entirely on this unwavering confidence in future growth. People invest their time, their resources, and their money today, quite simply because they trust that tomorrow will be better and more prosperous than today. That specific belief in the future has been the primary driver of global innovation and entrepreneurship over the last few centuries.
But just like the agricultural revolution we talked about, our modern industrial age comes with a pretty stark paradox. The benefits are totally undeniable. Machines give us vastly higher productivity, incredible global transportation, and a massive increase in overall living standards. Yet the challenges are equally unprecedented: severe pollution, urban overcrowding, and critical, lasting environmental damage. We basically used our shared myths to build machines that radically improved our lives, but we created entirely new, potentially existential hurdles in the process.
Section 5. The unwritten future. Where exactly are we going?
Which brings us right up to the present day. Our technology is now advancing significantly faster than our shared ethics. We really have to ask ourselves some profound questions based on where our shared stories have brought us so far. First up, will artificial intelligence surpass humans? For 70,000 years, our cognitive abilities made us the undisputed rulers of the Earth. So what happens when the very things we create can outthink, outplan, and outcooperate our own minds?
Furthermore, can humans engineer evolution? With the insanely rapid advances we're seeing in biotechnology, we're no longer just subject to random natural selection. We are actively gaining the tools to permanently change our own biology, to literally design life itself. This fundamentally begs the question of what it will actually mean to be human in the next century.
So, the crucial point is this: does technological progress automatically lead to a happier life? As we've seen, from the agricultural revolution right up through the industrial age, moving forward doesn't always mean moving toward individual happiness. We've spent 70,000 years mastering the shared story to dominate the world. Now, the single greatest challenge of our collective journey isn't figuring out how to acquire more power. It's deciding what kind of story we actually want to write next.